see, but I don't know, I don't see anything in here, you know, to take your.
Okay, I've got 10:31. Looks like we got a full house here. So we will go ahead and call our meeting to order. Um, let's see here. Looks like we have got a confirmation of a quorum or enough folks for a quorum. And then question about the confirmation of the press release. I'm assuming that's been sent out.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
The press
okay.
has been notified.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Introduction of meeting attendees. If you want to go around the room here and introduce yourself, I'll start off. My name is Steve Coleman, and I am the chair of our committee.
Abdul Muhammad, West Banko Bank.
Travis Yates, Beacon SoCar.
Kathy Stoller, Department for Local Government.
Adrienne Bush, Homeless and Housing Coalition of Kentucky.
Nima Kulkarni, State Representative, District 40.
Matt Reynolds, Habitat for Humanity of Henderson, Kentucky.
Everett Bracken, Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs.
Okay. Is that everybody? Everybody had an opportunity to talk? Okay. All right. Let's see. Next up is our considerations and approval of the minutes for the last meeting that was held July the 23rd. So do you have anybody want to?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Excellent. Okay. You have a second?
Second, Abdul Muhammad.
Thank you. Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll raise your hand. Okay. All right. And any nays? Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have our financial reports and program allocations. Jasmine, take it away.
Good morning. We can actually go to the next slide if you want to go to the next slide. So this slide is just a chart that shows you for the past, at this point, 5 fiscal years where we are with the quarterly receipts. You can see I would call it a spike given the dollar amount that happened in fiscal year 21 and 22. Those were our high fiscal years. And then since fiscal year 23, there's been this slight decline in receipts. The good thing is we do have up-to-date data in here. So the last column that you see in fiscal year 25 is as of December 31st. So we do have all of our current receipts in. So this is the most up-to-date information that you see here. We'll see this on the next slide, but I want to stay on this slide. If you look at quarter 2, fiscal year 24 and quarter 2, fiscal year 25, we're about steady from where we were last year, a slight increase, but about steady. And the same for quarter 1. There was a slight decrease for quarter 1 from last year, but we're maintaining those numbers from last year, although there's been that decline over the last couple fiscal years. And that's all I have for this slide. It's just a visual so you can see.
She hasn't
the
even
trends.
asked. I just want to know before I talk to her.
I'm sorry, say that again. Oh, okay. Next slide. This slide gives you the actual numbers. It shows you the financials, the cash balances, the outstanding commitments, and then the funds available / uncommitted. The last time we reported was June of 24. And if you look at the numbers, although the cash balance has gone down, the outstanding commitments have also gone down, which means your funds availability or uncommitted has gone down, which is a good thing. But if you look at last year's 2024 of 23, you'll see that the cash balance has gone down and the commitments have gone up from last year this time. So that's where you're seeing that negative dollar amount in there.
So Jasmine, if I could comment, just so the members of the advisory committee know, we have had a practice of what we call forward committing our
Yes.
affordable housing trust fund dollars so that we're getting projects kind of in the pipeline with funds based on what we expect to receive in the future. Because our receipts have gone down, we are forward committing less. That's why this negative balance is lower. That could seem like a good thing, but really it represents us being more conservative about what we expect to get in receipts and not as aggressive at getting dollars committed to projects.
Right. Okay. I think those are the only 2 financial slides that I have.
That you have, okay.
Yes.
All right. Any questions on any of that? Okay, next up we have the featured projects for multifamily with Terry.
Good morning. My name is Terry Helton. I'm the managing director of our multifamily programs. I have a couple of projects to show off for you all today. The first one is our Refuge for Women apartments. This is a new construction of 24 units in Lancaster, Kentucky's Garrett County. The developers are Winterwood and Refuge for Women. We invested a little over $640,000 of Affordable Housing Trust Fund and a little more than $500,000 of low-income housing tax credits. This is a great place for some women who are seeking shelter. They do provide services. They provide healing, some life skills, employment services, as well as aftercare and helping them get employment. So this is a picture of their community building that they built on site.
Carrie, it's worth noting that the primary families that they serve are women who have been who have suffered human trafficking.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They have the little, laptops, their computer area. They've got a really nice community space here in the building, as well as a picnic area outside. Each of the little pods have 4 units in each area. So there's one as it was being built, and then one once the grass got in, it looks a little bit prettier with the grass in there. Our next project is Roosevelt Apartments. Now, Roosevelt is a rehab of 47 units in Louisville, Jefferson County. The developer is New Directions Housing Corporation. And KHC invested $300,000 of Affordable Housing Trust Fund and $645,000 of low-income housing tax credits. There are some slides from the after of the rehab. This is the outside of the building, and then there's one of the inside units with the new flooring, new cabinets. Again, the really nice views of these apartments, I think, outside their windows. Really nice refresh that they have done. And this slide here kind of represents a before and after. Unfortunately, some of the pictures that we had of the before are mostly of construction, putting in the, wiring and the insulation and the plumbing. So this is the first one, and the top ones are the before and after of one of their bathrooms. And then they're where they have their washer and dryer units for the tenants.
Looks great.
Yes, they did a great job. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, next up, we have the featured projects for single family. Curtis?
Sure. Thank you for the time today, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm going to highlight a couple different examples of our projects, focusing on two homebuyer activities, two infill projects in Lexington, another a new higher ground project in Letcher County, as well as a fairly intensive home repair project that was partially supported by our AHTF home repair funds done in Paducah by Paducah Alliance of Neighbors. So the first one you see here, again, this is a more dense infill housing we're seeing Lexington Habitat for Humanity move to with their design. Most of the homes we fund with AHTF are single-family detached units. But for those of you familiar with Lexington, you know that land is a bit of a priority in the Urban Services District. So trying to consolidate and get more units on the ground, utilizing this townhome design is something Habitat Lexington has really prioritized. So we contributed $250,000 to this project in AHTF to get 7 units on the ground serving low and moderate income families in Lexington. Similarly, we did another, if you go to the next slide, please, project on Perry Street in Lexington. Again, you'll see it's a little bit larger units, but also utilizing a townhome model. We had 5 units on the ground there, utilizing $200,000 in AHTF. Next slide, please. And this is a sort of a save the day effort by our friends at Homes Inc. out of Whitesburg. This is the Thompson Branch subdivision. It is designed to be a 10-unit subdivision, but originally it was to be populated by FEMA trailers, serving survivors of the flood disaster in 22. Through a large number of bureaucratic challenges, FEMA pretty much dropped the ball on that and only was able to get one buyer in for a manufactured housing unit in that community, and basically abandoned the other ones they had said they would procure. So the Commonwealth asked Homes Inc. to step in and take over development of this subdivision, and they have gone in flying on this. They are funding 8 homes, new construction. They're all going to be net zero houses with solar power, so you're going to see minimal energy costs to the home buyers for these units. They've got almost everything under roof right now, if I remember correctly, for the development of the subdivision. And I think we'll see it hopefully fully occupied by the end of this summer. So this is really exciting news, and it's a really integral part of the disaster recovery effort in southeastern Kentucky, of which Homes is playing a very key role. So we are very happy to be able to support that fund, utilizing both Rural Housing Trust Fund dollars and traditional Kentucky Affordable Housing Trust Fund monies. And finally, we want to highlight, and if you go to the next slide, please, just one example of the many repair efforts we support utilizing AHTF. This is a project that was done by Paducah Alliance of Neighbors, and I would show you some of the interior before photos, but to preserve the privacy of the individual who was assisted, I'll just let you know it was pretty deplorable living conditions. So there was a wide array of efforts undertaken to support and rehabilitate this house to ensure it provided the owner with ongoing, safe, decent, and continued affordable housing. So we had quite a bit of efforts here, including interior work, exterior work related to siding, the roof, the soffits, removing some invasive critters. They had some raccoons that had occupied the attic. They ended up expanding what was a very tiny rear bedroom that had an interior non-supportive wall with no windows to a bigger one with windows. Replaced windows and exterior doors. I did some electrical upgrades, kitchen cabinet replacements, reinforced flooring in this unit where it had rotted out in the bathroom, including some of those underneath support beams. So this was a really heavy lift. But one thing we love about this program is it really pairs well with other sources sources. And this is a great example from Paducah Alliance of Neighbors. We put a cap of $25,000 in construction assistance plus service delivery fees for our developers for AHTF home repair projects. But PAN was able to bring other resources to the table, including Federal Home Loan Bank, Carol M. Peterson funds, as well as a micro grant from the city of Paducah. And with that, they were able to truly transform this homeowner's living situation and ensure they have a stable place going forward. So it's nice to see that our partners are utilizing our funds to bring other funds to the table to better serve their clients. And just so you know, we are in the midst of reviewing our current round of applications for AHTF home repair and home buyer funding, along with home investment partnerships for the forthcoming year. And the demand is pretty tremendous for these funds. For both home repair and home buyer allocations, we've got over 2 times the asks for these AHTF funds, and we have available funding. So as you saw from Jasmine's report, these declining AHTF revenues are having a bit of an impact on our ability to meet the needs of our partners to best serve their communities. But I do hope by demonstrating these projects, you can all see what a profound impact these investments can make on individual households' lives in the Commonwealth. And I think that's what I've got, unless anybody has any questions.
All right, great report. Great report. Okay, now we're going on to our housing supply gap, next steps. Wendy?
Yeah, I'll just share a few updates with you all. I know we have talked in previous meetings with you all, and if you've been on our webinars or at our conference, you know that we have spent a good amount of time in 2024 sharing the data and findings and implications of the housing supply gap analysis that we commissioned last year. And just to refresh your recollection, we did 2 data releases that showed that the Commonwealth is currently short 206,000 housing units, almost equally split between rental and home ownership, and spread across many different income bands. These different columns where it says a percentage of AMI, that's a percentage of area median income. So changes county to county, but it's a relative change. So trying to show like what households are missing an opportunity to rent or buy a unit aligned with their income. And it was, our findings were that this was the current gap. The future gap would grow if our trends don't change in how much construction we're doing, would grow to in 2029 to over 287,000 units. Again, roughly evenly split between rental and for sale and across most all income bands. We have been doing a lot of speaking engagements. I've gone everywhere from the Kentucky League of Cities, gigantic conference, to Rotary clubs, economic development agencies, talking with major employers, anybody who wants to talk about it, because what we can tell you is our funds are not growing at KHC. The HTF's not growing. Our other federal allocations have been pretty static. Yet the need has gotten bigger, and we need some solutions for kind of middle income workforce housing. And we really have very few tools for that other than our mortgage lending. And so we're really just trying to grow awareness and kind of the coalition of stakeholders who care about the need to get more housing developed, if for no other reason than to support Kentucky's economy, let alone to make sure that moderate and low income folks, have a foothold in being stable and being able to thrive in Kentucky. What we're doing now is trying to think about what our next steps are to keep carrying this issue forward. And we're looking at doing a series of webinars highlighting what folks around the state are doing, like economic development entities and the like, to try to get more housing developed and accelerate their supply, zoning reform, accessory dwelling efforts, that kind of stuff. And then we do expect to really highlight these issues in August at our annual conference, which will be held in Covington up in Northern Kentucky this year. I would also like to highlight that one of the things that makes this issue elevation very important is that in addition to our funds being static or declining a little bit compared to previous years, KHC and all of our other federal grantees in the state have just learned that our federal funds are currently frozen. A memo just came out last night, basically directing all federal agencies to freeze all federal grant programs. And we're trying to understand exactly what that means, but we've been told by our HUD office that we will not be able to draw any funds, even on current open grants and projects. So we're really at this place of we feel like stakeholders across the state very much understand the need to get more supply, yet we don't have new tools, and the tools we have may be frozen for some. We really don't know for how long. We're being told it's temporary, but there's no date certain of when that will change. So I'm really just sharing this with you all to let you all know this. I feel like this issue's gotten a lot of traction, but we have a lot of uncertainty at the federal level.
I've got a quick question on that. When they talk about supply gap, do we have any idea of how they come up with that number?
Yeah,
I mean,
so we have a full report that has all of the methodology and the calculations for each county and what data sets went into that. I can
Okay.
give you the general. In general, they took construction trends, if they
Okay.
just stayed steady, announced housing starts, because in many parts of the state, we do have a lot of housing about to come online, in migration within the state and into and out of the state, and then major job announcements around the state. We got a database from the Economic Development Cabinet, county by county, of where jobs have been announced that are coming to try to, and that's not every job means you need one, housing unit, but our consultant used a multiplier of, okay, if there's 10 jobs, I'm just making this up, but let's say 2 housing units are needed, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting.
All of that information, the full reports, as well as the raw data sets, are available on our website if anybody wants it.
Okay. Good deal. Excuse me. All right. Any other business or announcements?
Wendy, I gotta ask the question, and I realize it's raw for you. All federal funds, even allocated funds. What does that mean?
We are still, Travis, just honestly trying to understand, and we haven't gotten any guidance about the details. But it does say in the memo, open grant agreements are to be frozen, which is terrifying to us. We have construction projects underway that expect to rely upon those dollars. It does say temporary, but it does not define like a resolution date of, how long that temporary status means.
Okay. Sorry.
That's
That
okay.
freaks
Yeah.
me out as much as it does you all. So
We feel like our hair is on fire right now. We're really concerned. Our biggest concern is about making all of our over 27,000 households get rent assistance from us in one way or another monthly, more than 27,000. And so we really want to make sure we can make all those payments.
well, I don't know what, we can do, but if there's anything we can do, please give me a call and I'll show up wherever I gotta show up or make any kind of phone call I need to make.
I appreciate that. I'd like to know a little more so we know exactly what to ask for. But Adrian, if you want to say any more, if you're able to share much.
Yeah. So I have at the Homeless and Housing Coalition of Kentucky, like I've have submitted a request for a meeting with McConnell staff ASAP. And they always do conference calls and they're usually pretty receptive. So if you would be interested in participating on that conference call, just let me know.
Absolutely, please.
Yeah. We'll start with a conference call before we all march to DC. Let's put it that way.
I will say this about McConnell's office. I mean, all politics set aside, they have always been known to bust a bureaucrat, for their constituents. They're pretty good about being responsive to that kind of stuff. So,
I have a quick question. This is Nima. Is there anything we can do on a state level to help bridge any of the gaps, considering we don't really know the timing of or what will happen if they reinstitute funding.
Well, again, speaking on behalf of HHCK and not anyone else on this phone call, the legislature has a couple of pretty good tools to do interim bridge funding, and that is the Affordable Housing Trust Fund as well as the Rural Housing Trust Fund. The pushback that leadership in the General Assembly will say is, but Adrienne, it's not a budget year. But they always open up the budget in a non-budget year.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it's, I might just have those discussions in context of this freeze, this funding freeze. That's a different scenario.
Yes.
And then just very briefly, I mean, the session is starting back up on February 4th. And I've got a bill that we've talked about, Adrienne, I know, for increasing the amount of money from the recording fees that goes to the trust fund. So it'll be $20 each from the two different recording fees that exist in statute. And I've got a slew of bills from Housing Conference, which address our building code and zoning reform, including the accessory dwelling units, allowing residential apartments to be built above like commercially zoned storefronts, for instance. And there's like 8 or 10 of these bills. I can forward them to you all to just take a look and see if there's anything else needed. But I think that being proactive about some of this stuff, I agree, Wendy, there's a lot of momentum behind this issue. The need is clear to everybody, not just in Louisville and Lexington. And so I think it's something to build on. I think this sort of emergency in terms of funding hopefully will perpetuate that, right? We don't know how long it's going to go, but I am willing to certainly talk to them about that. And then just wanted to put these bills on your radar because I think they will help with the stock, right? The kind of housing stock that we're going to need to build. There is also, just real quick for this group, Pew Research. There's a whole, I was able to hear a very good presentation, and this might be stuff you all already know. Some of it was new to me, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we're focusing on versus what we should be focusing on. And I don't know, they're willing to do presentations and come and speak. There's one gentleman out of Lexington in that sort of group, the affordable housing group, and then another one, I believe, from Northeast somewhere. So if you all are interested in hearing from them, and they have national research as well as Kentucky specific, state specific data and trends and, kind of solutions that have worked. If you're interested in that, just let me know and I'm happy to help organize that.
I'd be very interested and happy to share with anybody on this meeting.
Okay, I'll get in touch. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Great information. Interesting times. That's all I'll say. That we live in today. All right. Any other announcements or business?
I do have one more announcement, if you don't mind, Steve.
Sure.
So Representative Kulkarni mentioned that the legislature is coming back into session next week, a week from today. And the Homeless and Housing Coalition, Coalition for the Homeless, Habitat for Humanity, and FAHI are having our traditional legislative breakfast to welcome them back. So if you are interested in attending that, it is Tuesday, February 4th, 8:30-ish till 10:45 in Annex Room 113 at the Capitol Annex. And Representative Kulkarni, please consider this your personal invitation.
Thank you. I've got it on my calendar.
Okay, good. To get to Frankfort early that day. So, all right. And if you, if you want more information, please feel free to just shoot me an email. Anyone else on this call?
Excellent. All right. Next order of business is the official announcement of our next meeting, which will be July the 22nd, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. We'll be doing that again by Zoom. We just wanted to announce that. And then I guess the last thing, if there's nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn our meeting today.
So move this, Travis.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second, Abdul.
Abdul's got a second. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you guys for your time. We kept it at a half an hour, and we will see you guys in July.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.